Hey guys, welcome back to week 14 of the MIT Challenge, which is to learn MIT's 4-year computer science curriculum in 12 months without taking any classes or even being enrolled at MIT. So today I want to talk about motivation. A lot of you have emailed me, how do I stay motivated when I'm learning things at such a fast intensity and also without the benefit of having university professors and a school curriculum to really force me to stay motivated, because I have to motivate myself because I'm setting my own schedule. And the simple answer is that it's much easier to stay motivated. The problem of motivation becomes much easier when you are really interested in the topic. And this might sound like a little bit of a cop-out because, as you probably know, the classes you're having the most difficulty with are often the classes that you don't have that level of interest for. Or you do have some interest, but you're overwhelmed by how frustrating the class is. So I want to put it in perspective by saying that the level of interest that you have in a class is not just something that's a given. That's something that you can take control of. So because motivation is related to interest, if you can make yourself more interested in a class, it'll be easier to motivate yourself to do the work. So I'll explain the basic way to do this is to have two beliefs. And if you really adopt these beliefs and make them a part of your philosophy, it'll be way easier to make any class interesting, even if you don't find it as naturally appealing. And the first thing to do is realize that every subject can be interesting. Doesn't mean that they are all interesting on the surface, but every subject has the opportunity to be interesting towards you. And this is because all subjects are connected. So law might be only very distantly related with differential equations, but the same principles underlie lots of different subjects and they connect each other. So if you go onto Wikipedia and you research sort of how the subject is used, you might find out that it's used in an application that you do find very interesting. So you might not like chemistry, but you may be very interested in biology, and you might be able to see the chemistry implications in biology. Or you may not be very interested in learning mathematics, but you might be very interested in writing computer programs or writing computer programs better. And so the mathematics then gains its appeal by its relationship to computer science. So this is an ability that it can take some time. It's not every subject won't be immediately obvious how it connects to what you're interested in. But if you put in some effort, you can make it happen. And this is a learned skill. So just to put this in perspective, when I was in my first year of university, I was learning linear algebra, and I hated it. I thought it was really boring and tedious. I slept through more than a few classes, and I think I ended up with maybe a B+ in the course. So not even a great mark, and it was much easier than the MIT equivalent that I'm doing right now. And flash forward 5 years from now, and I've learned kind of how to create an interest even when it's not there naturally. And I found this linear algebra course, and I was not really looking forward to it based on my experiences doing linear algebra earlier. But I started doing it, and I found out that I actually really enjoyed it because I was able to see all the connections it has with computer programming and writing very fast computer programs. So just as an example, one of the topics was on JPEG compression. So this might sound like a fairly esoteric idea, but images are very large files normally, but if you use compression techniques, you can make them much, much, much smaller. And that's the basis of a lot of how the internet is able to look so vivid and load so quickly, even without a super fast internet connection. And this fundamental technology of JPEG image compression is based on matrices. And so once I was able to see how these matrix operations, even though they seem kind of abstract, were really useful for all sorts of algorithms in computer science, that gave me an incentive to really want to learn them and really understand them deeply. So that's the first belief. Every subject can be interesting. Now the second belief is that every subject can be learnable, because a lot of people sort of operate under the belief that there's certain things that they can learn and there's certain things that they just lack the intellectual ability for. And this is ridiculous. Of course, some people will learn faster than others. That's not in question. Some people will take a day to understand a math concept, other people will take a month. But that doesn't mean that any subject is completely out of reach, that it's impossible for you to understand it and you just have to memorize it. And I think this goes back because a lot of students dislike their classes because they find them too frustrating. And if you can really believe, really adopt as part of your philosophy that every subject is learnable, then you won't give up as quickly and just resort to memorizing things. You will persevere and you'll try to find that deep explanation. So as an example of that, one of the classes I was doing in this MIT Challenge, which I did find interesting, but was also the most difficult class that I had faced thus far, was differential equations. And some people might be saying, well, differential equations are easy, and other people might be saying differential equations are impossible. But at the time I was learning it, I found it very difficult to answer a lot of the questions because it was very abstract. The Laplace transform, I didn't understand why it was useful, like sort of what was going on, the intuition behind it. And the funny thing is that after I did a class in computer science and electrical engineering, which was applying the differential equation topic. So it wasn't teaching them, it was applying them. It was applying things like the convolution rule and transforms into the frequency domain. And suddenly it clicked into place. I understood why those things were being used and kind of the physical analogy of what was going on with the mathematics. So once I understood that idea, a lot of the differential equation and concepts became easy. And the same thing happened with linear algebra. Once I understood some of the matrix operations, some of the same problems involving eigenvalues and eigenvectors and differential equations suddenly cleared up. And so that's what I want to try to explain to you, is that you may have been explained or taught a topic and you find it very difficult, very frustrating. But if you keep seeking alternative explanations and explanations maybe from different perspectives, you might find one that sits well with you and you're able to understand the idea and you're able to go forward with it and learn it. So these two beliefs, that every subject can be interesting and every subject can be learned, are two key ideas that if you really adopt them, you can make any subject interesting. Some subjects might require a little bit more work, a little bit more surfing on Wikipedia until you can find something to sink your teeth in. But if you do really adopt these beliefs, subjects can become interesting, and once they become interesting, motivation is a lot easier. So thanks for watching this video. I'll be back next week with more updates on the MIT Challenge and the classes that I'm doing. Thanks.